and welcome everybody. So also congratulations, Edulastic Premium. We're talking about a top of the line application that we're gonna learn a lot about today. But I'm also gonna have some audience participation. So if there's one thing that I'm aware of is that we have a lot of different users coming from a lot of different backgrounds, right? And we also have different levels of users. So we have people who are brand new to Edulastic, folks who have an intermediate level experience with Edulastic, and also some that are very experienced with Edulastic. So we're gonna cover everything sort of in an overview to start. We're gonna extend that overview and go over all the different premium features. Well, let me back up. Not all of the different premium features, but we're gonna highlight some that we know that you're absolutely gonna love. In addition to that, I will have some audience participation opportunities show up, and we're gonna get started here shortly. But just stay tuned to the chat. Please put your questions in there. Aditya and Ileana, and I believe Lauren as well, are all gonna be happy to answer those, as well as the Q&A. And then we'll take some questions at the end, and we're also gonna supply some support avenues for you to utilize while using Edulastic. So we're gonna get started. Alrighty. Now, this is Edulastic. For those who haven't been here quite yet, this is Edulastic. Now, if you haven't signed into Edulastic quite yet, again, Ileana just posted in the chat that we do have a webinar that goes over all the different steps associated with it. But if you want a quick how-to guide, I can tell you, you go to edulastic.com, the top right-hand corner of the screen, you select login. And if you've already been given user information, you can use that to log in. If you haven't, you can choose the forgot your password option. An email will be sent to you if an account has already been created for you. And you follow those steps and you'll have access to your account. Now we're presuming that you have your account and that you've already set it up and you have premium access to Edulastic. So to get started, on the left-hand side of the screen, you're gonna notice a navigation bar. Now this is how you navigate within Edulastic. The second you log in, you're gonna see our dashboard. Now we're gonna talk about the dashboard here in just a moment, but this is a quick snapshot of quick access to different areas of Edulastic, including the Manage Class option, the Assignments tab. If you have a recent assessment assigned to a specific class, you can gain access to that live classboard from here. So we see the dashboard utilized in a lot of different ways, specifically for quick access to a couple of key components or the key areas that you're gonna be visiting most often. How do I navigate within Edulastic? Let's go to the E at the top left-hand corner of the screen. And as soon as I select that E, it's gonna expand that navigation bar on the left. Now, as soon as that navigation bar is expanded, you can see that now I have access to understand what each of these icons mean. Now I understand that there are some folks in here that are very well experienced with Edulastic, so I'll briefly go over the My Profile section. Down at the bottom left-hand corner, you're likely to see your initials. If you see your initials, go ahead and click on your initials. We're gonna go to My Profile. Before I go there, I'm sure we have some trivia fans in the house tonight. So the first thing I'm gonna do is we're gonna open this up for some audience participation in the chat. Lauren, Eliana, Aditya, you tell me who was the first one to answer this correctly, but I got a trivia question for you. Selecting My Profile, who can tell me who this legendary teacher is? First one in the chat, I'll open it up as well. Wow, Jessica, Greta, Mike, perfect. Everyone's got it. Awesome. I know I have some friends in the house tonight. Perfect. I got one more further. What is this professor's full name? Not Indiana, right? That's his nickname. What is his full name? Anybody? Don't Google it. Now, no, there's no Googling, right? Henry Jones. Henry Jones is correct. And his actual, Henry Abel Jones, I appreciate that, Christine. His actual full name is Henry Walton, Indiana Jones. So there's your trivia. Let's keep going. This is gonna be the My Profile section. So a couple of things we wanna point out here and that are very important for us, a couple important key takeaways here are, first of all, make sure that your information is correct. If you wanna add an image, please do so. Go to Change Image, add an image. But also ensuring that your school information is added here, that your standard sets are selected. In addition to those standard sets, also be ensured that in the default settings, you have your interested grade and subject. So for example, if you teach third grade, and you're an ELA teacher, you're going to have third grade ELA. Now, why would I put this information here? Because this information is going to pre-populate in other filtering options that are available throughout the Edulastic application. So again, put that in there. It's going to save you clicks. We're definitely in the business of saving people clicks, and I'm going to show you how and why we're in that business later. But again, make sure that you have your school, the correct school is here, standard sets, interested grade and subject. And then also you're going to have two options here. If you're using Google Classroom, make sure you have the auto share selected to on, and then also power user. Now from the My Profile, let's go back to that E at the top left-hand corner of the navigation bar, expanding that navigation bar so we can see. We're going to go to the Manage Class. Now, if you're taking notes, I will definitely highlight some areas that I'm going to pause and make sure that you take a note, because these are going to be specific areas and features that we know you're going to access a lot of the time. So the first thing we're going to do is go to a class. Now I'm actually going to show you a comparison between this is our premium class and this is our free account. So I'm going to go to the same class. Just to kind of show you a comparison, right away, you're going to probably notice something. Going back to the free version. Now at the premium, you probably notice that there is this column available in the premium and it's not available in the free account. This is text to speech. And from this screen, you can actually enable text to speech for specific students or disable it for specific students or enable it for your entire class. To show you a quick example of what that looks like, if I was to select Melinda and 2 here, I go to the actions button on the right-hand side of the screen, enable text to speech, you're gonna see those red X's turn into check marks. Any action that you do in Edulastic, at the bottom left-hand corner, you'll notice a green check mark. We're going to notify you and let you know that that action has been completed. So once you've enabled text-to-speech or disabled text-to-speech, this is going to make sure that this feature is available for this specific student so that they can have the read aloud feature on their assessments. And I'm going to show you more about that here in just a moment. But again, one of the things you probably noticed, and now I know you know, is the text-to-speech enabled option. But if we go back to the free account, I'm going to hover over the lid 2's account here. And I want you to pay attention next to active, to the right side of active, that there's no icon popping up, right? On the premium account, we offer the option for you to go in and view as a student. Now, this is going to give you instant access to the student's account. And if this student has any issue and they need some troubleshooting support, this is going to be an easy way for you to navigate. If you notice on the screen that I went to this drop down here, that's because if 2 here is registered in a bunch of different classes, they're going to see all of their classes notated up in the top right-hand corner, which would be their drop down. We have set it automatically to default when they log into Edulastic. It's going to default to all classes. Now, why did we do that? Well, because we know that if certain classes if they're being assigned specific assessments from certain classes, that information is going to be detailed on this screen, and it's going to be detailed pertaining to the individual class. So it'll be less confusing for them to see it all at once, especially if they have multiple assessments coming from multiple classes. If at any point you're helping your student troubleshoot and you're done troubleshooting, just quickly use the stop acting at user option, and that'll close that window. So a lot of different options available for you here. If you use Google Classroom, you can sync with Google Classroom by simply selecting the Sync with Google Classroom button up here. You'll select your different Google Classrooms. All that information will be carried over to here. Student accounts will be created as well. You'll also be able to provide that information for them by simply going to this print option here. Now, as soon as I select print, my students have been given an account with Edulastic, and I can actually hand this out if I'd like, print it off and hand it out, their little student cards. Now, I can almost guarantee you that no student password is going to be that complicated, right? You're probably looking at this and thinking, are you serious? I'm not. No, really, seriously, it's not going to be that complicated half the time. This is just my demo account. I wanted to see how many characters I can max out on a password. Now, in addition to adding or syncing with Google Classroom, keep in mind that if you are rostering or syncing with any sort of third party, any information that you're going to change, whether it be adding or deleting a student from a specific classroom, all that detail is done on the third party rostering side. You won't have that done on the Edulastic side. These options here, the add students and add multiple students option, is available for those who are going to be rostering their classes manually. So that's managed class. So far, we've talked over the text to speech. If you're taking notes, highlight that this is where you would create that to be an option for specific students or disable it for specific students. Also, you're going to be going to the managed class option within Edulastic to view a specific student account. Now, using that navigation bar again on the left-hand side, let's go to test. I'm going to do the same thing over in my free account. Now, when in test, there's a lot of different options available here. And again, I want to provide a quick overview, but as I'm doing this overview, I'm going to be highlighting some premium features that we know you're going to love. Now, I would ask for you to throw it in the chat, and why not? Anyone here consider themselves to be a super organized individual? I personally do. I'm not sure if everyone around me necessarily thinks that, but I'm definitely an organized person. Especially if I was in the classroom, I would definitely want to have my assessments laid out for the year. Anyone else? I see that Hillary is. If you're an organized person, tune in because this is going to help you with your semester and help you potentially with your sanity, right? So much going on. So on the left-hand side, you have that filters column. Now, we have 62,654 assessments. Now, filtering through this, let me show you just a quick example of how easy this actually is. If I selected grade 2, subject math, selected a specific standard to say math common core, see how this number is dramatically decreasing, go to my Edulastic certified assessments, I'm down to 53. So as you can see, filtering, you're gonna get down to the information that it is that you're looking for. And again, if you did put in your specific grade and subject in the My Profile default settings, that information is gonna pre-populate here so you don't have to click as much, right? Remember we were talking about being in the business of saving clicks. We wanna save you time. And so that's one way to do so. But also this folders option is for those of us who like to consider ourselves organized. Again, maybe not everyone else is gonna agree, but I like to think so. To create a folder, simply click this plus sign, enter in the folder name and select create new folder. As you can see, I've created many folders. But as you're looking at the test library, there are two separate views. This is the test library test card view. So if you'll notice, I'm hovering over a specific test, that card is being highlighted. I'll zoom in for you to see. But we also have a list view. Now, if you're going to be organizing folders, you'll need to be in this view because this is where we have the actions button that enables you to add specific assessments to folders. Now, how would I do that? Simply go to, let's say this assessment here, actions, add to folder. This is going to be my benchmark fall 2021 assessment, add. Again, a notification at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen is going to notify you, letting you know that you were successful in your action. So now I have this lined up. If I go to my benchmark fall 2021, I'm ready to assign this assessment. Go back to the test card view, and I can make that assignment. Now let's talk about if you missed where those different views were, top right-hand corner is where you're going to see them. Test card view and the list view. Test card, list. Now, Edulastic is going to default into the test card view because we see that utilized most often. This is kind of one of those hidden features that we don't see utilized too often, but we have had so much feedback and so much positive feedback from teachers and administrators who are using them, helping them stay organized throughout the year. Now, if at any point you're finding it difficult to search for a specific test or something along those lines, the chances are maybe 95% of the time we're noticing that all you have to do is go to this clear all option, and then you'll be brought back to normal. Everything else has been erased, all the filters have been erased, and you're back to square one. Now let's talk about some premium features that are aligned here. And a lot of them are going to have to do with this specific area looking over at the test library, are going to be in the assignment settings. So if at any point I'm ready to assign an assessment, I'll simply hover over the test card and select assign. But before I take you to that assignment option, I want to first explain what it is you're looking at on this test card, because you might be looking at this and thinking, okay, what is this? First and foremost, if you ever have an option if you ever want the option to look at this from the student's perspective, simply hover over the test card, select preview, and I'm now seeing this assessment just as the student would. Not entirely sure if you're going to be able to hear this, but this assessment also has text to speech. And if I select play, I don't know if you heard that, but if you did, they read out this question and it wasn't as robotic of a voice as I would normally anticipate. So I really also like our text to speech voice, just saying. So I can take a look at all the different questions from here as the student would see them. I could even take the assessment if I'd like. I'm not going to take it all because we'll be here for a little bit, but if I answer a couple questions, look at that. Out of 2, 50-50, I got one right. Now, pay close attention to this, because that performance summary and the performance by questions bar graph that you see here is actually going to be what you see in our live class board. So just take a quick snapshot of this, because we're going to see this again later. Again, all I did was hover over an assessment that I'm interested in, select the preview, and I'm looking at the student view. Now, what is on this assessment card, this test card? I have the name, all the different standards that are associated with the specific questions in this assessment, where I'd be able to locate it, what collection it's in. If there's any specific items, otherwise known as questions, they're going to tell me how many there are in here. Who is the creator of this specific assessment? Its current status. Also, a quick identifier if you're talking with a colleague and you're like, hey, you have to check out when animals snooze. So let's imagine Aditya and I are just on Edulastic for the first time. I'm like, Aditya, you got to check out when animals snooze. One of the best assessments I've ever seen. I'd just quickly share with him this assessment ID. And if he types that into the search bar, give you an example here, for F0 for E4. It's going to bring up that assessment for him. Then from there, Aditya can do on his side whatever it is he'd like to do. If you're wondering who Aditya is, he's another customer success manager of ours who's answering questions in the chat. We also have a nice little like button. Now, who doesn't like a like? I mean, we're all in the business of liking likes and all the likes. So we wanted to make sure we had that option available for you as well. Now, again, a quick example of the clear all option. If I select clear all, I'm back to square one. And I'm going to go to the assign option. So again, I hovered over this assessment and selected assign. Now I have this brought up in both the premium and the free version, because I want to show you right away some different things that you're going to see. Now let's have some audience participation. Here's our free version, quick snapshot. Here's the premium version. Tell me what you saw. The first things that you're noticing, anybody? What is standing out to you? This is that free version. This is the premium version. In the chat, if you'd like to participate, please do. There you go. Rebecca, thank you. Hillary, thank you. Yeah, no anti-cheating, right? Let's go back. There's no auto redirect settings as well. So as a premium user, you have access to these incredible assignment settings that I honestly think are game changers. We're going to talk about them here in just a moment. But for starters, just as a quick note, again, there are certain aspects within the free account, a lot of them that you don't have, that you now have access to. So to start, I want to talk about one, in addition to anti-cheating and auto redirect, that is, you know, when we talked about earlier, I was like, we're in the business of saving clicks. We want to save you time. Now, if you're looking at this in a first-time user, this might be something that is a little intimidating. I don't know, maybe. You're thinking, okay, there's the class group. Yeah, I get that. I got to select my class. Perfect. Okay, cool. I go through here. I have my open date, my time that I'm going to have the assessment be open. I can have it automatically start or open. You know, there's basic class group stuff. But then you go to test behavior. And there's, you know, a few more. Okay, let's tack on a couple more minutes maybe. All right, now we're getting into quite a bit of different settings, right? Now I wanna provide a peace of mind. You have a couple different options. Now, those organized folks tune in, and those who aren't, maybe don't consider themselves to be too organized, tune in as well. This is a very hot tip. As you're planning out your assessments and planning out your different classes, you might have different settings for different classes. You might have different settings for different grades, depending on how you function and how you're going to be using Edulastic. It could be different or it could be the same. Either way, at the top right-hand corner, we have an option for you to save these settings. Now, here's a trick. You don't actually have to assign an assessment in order to save a setting. This is the most brilliant part. So if I wanted to, I could just go into my pre-built assessments or assessments that I've cloned or what have you, go to the class group, assign all these different assignment settings, and then I could save it here. And then let's just say, for an example, I go back to tests and I'm ready to administer my assessment and I've saved my assignment settings. This is how fast it is. I show up to Edulastic on the dashboard, or I click the E at the top left-hand corner to open up the navigation bar, select the test library. Let's go to created by me. This is an assessment that I created. Let's go to assign. I select my class. Everything else looks good to me. As you know, this is my benchmark, and then assign. And just like that, I'm ready to go. That's how fast it is. That's how fast it is once you have your assignment settings already saved as well. So one of the neatest features, and one of the ones that we're seeing is quickly gaining a ton of popularity, is that save settings option in the assignment settings. Now let's talk about anti-cheating and a couple of these other assessment settings real quick. Now, while we won't have the time necessarily today to go over and show you an example of all these, what I do want you to know is that when you're using Edulastic, we're also going to talk about this at the end, but we have different support resources available for you scattered all throughout the Edulastic application. One of the things I like to say is never fear, Edulastic is here. We got your back. We know that you have questions and we want to make sure we get ahead of the game and have provided answers for you. So let's say you're in the anti-cheating option for assignment settings. As soon as you hover over any of these options, over on the right-hand side, you're going to see a box that's going to give you a thorough explanation on what this specifically is. Same thing applies everywhere else. Now, auto redirect for me, real quick, is so cool because look how awesome this is. If I wanted to do an auto redirect score threshold of say 80%, and I wanted to give them 2 tries and I'll let them check their answers on 1, how cool is that? That means that my students can go in and they have 3 chances to get to 80%. I don't have to do anything. It's just going to automatically do it until they hit this threshold. Now, to me, that's one of the coolest features. I don't know, I might be alone in this, but again, auto redirect. If you have any questions, wondering what this is, hover over that specific assignment setting, and over on the right-hand side, you're going to see a box that's going to explain it in detail and hopefully answer your question. To that extent, providing that on-the-spot support, I want to go over to the navigation bar on the left-hand side, select the item bank library, and I want to go to new item for a quick moment. So again, I'm at the item library, new item. Again, as you notice, this is that list view that we saw over in the test library. It's very similar. All the filters are the same as well. I mean, you have a couple of different options as far as like question type and depth of knowledge and so on. But for starters, let's go up to new item again. Now, again, that same feature that we were talking about, making sure that you kind of have an idea of how to do some of this stuff, because you won't be able to learn it all in this webinar. We wanted to make sure that you have some takeaways. So first of all, let's take a look. I mean, you have so many different question types. If we go to the math, you have numeric entry, which is pretty cool. Graphing, let's talk about graphing in the first quadrant for a minute, right? Multiple choice, fill in the blanks. Now, if I'm in multiple choice and I'm wondering how to develop and build a multiple choice question type, as soon as I select it, over here in the bottom left-hand corner is going to be a video that shows you how to do so, walking you through step-by-step how to work within the edit mode tab, the preview mode tab, and the metadata tab. Now, while this resource isn't available for every single question and item type, we know that once you've done a few, you're definitely going to get the hang of it. But It's there. You're going to see it. And we also have a general how to author option up here. Now I want to spend some more time in other places. Let's select that E at the top left-hand corner and let's go to assignments. Yes, continue. So you see that assignment that I just assigned there. I'm going to also head over to the assignments tab in my free profile as well. All right, I'm going to give you an option here. I'm going to kind of cheat for a minute. What are y'all seeing that's different? This is that free version. Here's the premium version. I'll give you a hint. It is an icon that's missing, but who can tell me what that icon is? I always like to see what you think that looks like. I think we all have our different opinions. Clipboard, nice. Clipboard is what I also think as well. Thanks, Amanda. Thanks, Allison. Thanks, Hillary and Scott. Appreciate it. So I'm going to expand this. Go back to that normal view for you. But yes, that is our Express grader that is missing from the free option that is available for you in the premium option. Now let's take a look at the live classboard. So how to access the live classboard. Again, remembering that we do have some folks joining us who this is their first time using Edulastic. That navigation bar on the left-hand side, select that E at the top right-hand corner, go to assignments. And once you've assigned an assessment, you're going to have instant access to the live classboard. Now, if you're noticing, this is developed into columns and rows. So we have the assignment name column, status column, submitted column, and so on. And then we have rows. There's usually going to be 2 rows per assignment assigned. Unless, of course, you've assigned it to multiple different classes, as you see here with When Animals Snooze. But over here on the right, you're going to have access to 3 quick icons. This is your live classboard, which is basically a computer monitor. It looks like an Apple monitor to me. So if I select the live classboard, we also have access to the other 2 icons, right? So if I go back real quick, E at the top left-hand corner, assignments, live classboard, Express grader, and standard space report. If I click the live classboard, I also have access to those options up here. Now I want to go to where we have some data. Let's take a look at what this looks like. House on Mango Street quiz. Now we're cooking. So this is what the live classboard looks like. Remember that the average score in that bar graph I asked you to keep in mind earlier, take a quick snapshot, because this is what you're seeing on your side. This is the live classboard. So this is going to give you quick, instant data, and it's also going to be live. So if you've assigned this assessment, handed it off to your students, as soon as they're answering questions, you're going to see this bar graph start to populate and that average score start to change. If you'll notice quickly, we have some partially correct answers. There's a color coordinated option up here just to kind of give you an idea of what you're seeing. But when you're using the live classboard, and that's this tab right here, there are 3 different views. This is the card view. So again, giving you live data. And then on top of that, these are the student cards. So if at any point I wanted to quickly see Ellen's information, so I wanted to see Ellen's responses, I would just click this card. It'll take me over to now what is referenced as the student view. And from here, I can select the questions that they got incorrect, all the questions that they got correct. I can do a deeper dive analysis by filtering by the status of the question, and I can make that filter option available here. So let's just say I go back to the card view and just go to the student view and select it from here. I can also do a drop down to get to Ellen as well. So one of the things that we do here at Edulastic is we want to make sure that you have multiple ways to get where it is you need to go. So that if you're a one-click type of person, you just want to boom, I got Ellen here. Okay, excellent. Going down. Oh, you know what? I made an error here. How do I fix that? Go on, so on and so forth. Now back to that error, right? Let's just say for an example that this question, for whatever reason, was actually incorrect, or you think as you're grading it that they did a good enough job that got them enough to change the rubric, right? To change their score. This is how easy it is to do it. I'm back at the card view. I select Ellen's student card. I go over to this specific question. I changed that 0 to 1, matching the rubric, hit enter. And then I can also put in great job, exclamation mark, and save. Again, anytime I'm doing anything in Edulastic, that action is going to be verified on the left-hand corner. So now we're in the student card view. Now let's head over, I'm sorry, this is the card view. Now we're in the student view. Now let's go to the question view. Once this populates, you're going to see all the different questions. So another deep dive analysis that you can filter by the status of the question type, or by the question by selecting what was incorrect, what was correct, and so on. Now, if you were ever to provide an assessment and hand it to them as a paper assessment, you're going to need access to Graded. Now, this is an option that is available only on the Premium Edulastic account. So let me show you where to do that real quick. Navigation bar on the left-hand side, I'm going to go to Test Library and Assign. Remember these options that we have available up here. If I went to Miscellaneous, Answer on Paper, use this option if students will be taking the assessment on paper. When on, teachers must manually enter paper-based responses after assessment is closed. Students who do not submit electronically will not be marked as absent. So if I select this set on, that means I've handed them a piece of paper that's still uploaded in the Edulastic Live Classboard. And from here, I would take my paper documents or my graded assessments from all my different students, head over here to the Express Grader. Actually, let's go back to an actual assignment. Here we go. And all of this would show up as a 0. I'd start at the top, question 1, Nico, and I would just grade Nico's response by going here and editing the response and adding the grade here. So if they got it right, cool, I put in a 1 there, go to next question, next question, next question, and so on. A quick and easy way to grade assessments via paper, an option only available on a Premium Edulastic account. Lastly, if you have standards and you're looking for a quick standards-based report, you're going to find that performance information here. Now, these are all aligned to your student performance profiles. So essentially, what is your mastery summary? You have that already preset. If it's an 80%, 90% threshold, you're going to see that mastery level displayed here. And also, which questions were aligned to what standards here. A quick report for you to access, one that you can also use this present mode to share with your class as well. And as you notice, as I hover over the present option, it's notifying you that this option will anonymize the names of students. So no one's going to be able to see anyone else's results. Let's go back to this E on the left-hand corner, assignments. And I want to draw your attention to this actions button, right? So it's right above these 3 icons. Now this actions button is important because if you haven't noticed already, this is a pretty user-friendly application, right? Edulastic, we definitely strive to make it as user-friendly as possible. But one of the key components to that user-friendliness is our willingness and our how open we are to making sure that we are providing for teachers quick access to the resources and the application features that they want. So for example, actions here, you can quickly assign, duplicate this assessment, preview it, a bunch of different other options available here. This view summary report is going to take you straight to our insights, which is where we're going to go next. So that E at the top left-hand corner, let's go to insights. Now, this is going to be an easy comparison, so won't necessarily need any audience participation, but take a look at that. I mean, we're just talking. You have access to so many reports. With the free account, you only have access to the standards gradebook. Premium, you got it all. Now let's take a look at some of these reports. I just wrapped up a single assessment. It's graded, it's done. Now I need an assessment summary, maybe even a question analysis. And I also want to share it with a colleague. Navigation bar, click that E, expand it, go to Insights, select Assessment Summary. Now from here, we do have a lot of different filtering options, but you don't necessarily need them all, especially with this assessment summary. So let's take, for example, I'm looking for a specific assessment here. I'm gonna type in math. It's going to populate my Math A number 2 assessment that is completed. And then I apply, and there now I have my assessment summary. Also, one of the key components here is that you don't actually have to keep filtering. It's already there. So if I go to my subgroup performance, again, that information is already available. Another cool thing is I can compare by class or student group. You can also go to question analysis. Now I want to share this question analysis with a colleague. Let's go ahead and populate. I can't pull it up here, so you wouldn't even be able to save it or share it. But if I did pull up an assignment that you have on the standards gradebook, notice a difference up here at the top. You can only print it. But really, when you access those premium features, you have the ability to share it, print it, and export it as a CSV. Now, make no mistake about it. This free Edulastic account, light years ahead of the rest of the game, but also has so many different features that are available for our Edulastic free users as well. And definitely some ways to work around certain things, but that quick and easy access is going to be made available here. So if I wanted to share this with a colleague, simply put their name in here. I can share that report, print as well, save it as a CSV. Let's look at some other reports. Let's do some comparative data. Now, if you didn't notice where I went, E at the top left-hand corner, Insights. I want to compare a couple of assessments here, the Math A1 and A2. I now have comparative data. Before I let you go, I'm going to turn this back over to Lauren here momentarily. But I want to point out something because you might be new to Edulastic and you might not have access to all the different features, or I'm sorry, yeah, you might not have access to some of these features because you don't really have any classes, or you might not have any assignments that have already been assigned or so on. We got you covered there. So if you go to the E, scroll down to this rocket ship and select Demo Playground, I invite you to go here and just have at it. Have fun, go click around. You know, I always tell people, click it, see if you can break it. It's a really hard thing to do here. There's pretty much a workaround for every single option that you run into. So if you find yourself in a problem, we've usually got a fix for it. But yeah, just click around, play with it. You have already pre-populated data here. You can go into Insights and take a look at certain things by searching for them. See what's available, you know, yeah, definitely like I'm seeing here, just click it and break it, you know, see what's there. So again, that demo account is made available for you with populated data for you to go in and mess around with. This is a great opportunity for you to learn more about how to use these different features without necessarily working with your own data, which I like to think is a huge bonus. Once you're done there, close it out. Don't worry about anything that you've done because it's all going to be reset at the end of the day. And now I want to talk about some resources that you have available for you right away. I also want to wrap this up quick so we can make some time for some questions and announce the winner. Bottom left-hand corner, you're going to see a question mark. That's our help center. Now, we didn't cover one particular thing because I also want to make some room for you to explore how to use our help center, this playlist feature. This is a premium feature. If I go to Help Center, select the question mark, type in playlist. At the top of the screen, you're going to see the most up-to-date support article. And Aditya was actually the one that created this one. We're going to walk you through step by step how to access this feature, how to use it, and then different features associated with it. And we're also including screenshots, as you see here. Doing our absolute best to be as thorough as possible. In addition to that question mark, we also have a chat box on the right-hand corner. Now, I can't say enough positive things about our chat box, but I also know that in some cases, when I say the word chat box, I feel like it might trigger some people. So I apologize if that happened. You're probably going back to an experience that you had that it wasn't really that great. Let me just give you a peace of mind to know that our chat support team is some of the best people we know. They're going to do their best to make sure that you have the answer you need. Send them a message related to any sort of feature that you're trying to learn more about, and they'll make sure not one that you have the article necessary, but they'll also even provide a walkthrough. Very thorough and eager to help you. Use our chat box if you have any questions as well. Now, in addition to that, edulastic.com/resources. This is our teacher training hub. So I often like to use the example of a couple of different examples. One, has anyone ever, you can use the chat box, has anyone here ever bought an IKEA piece of furniture and then also, has anyone ever bought an IKEA piece of furniture and tried to build it without the instructions? Anybody? I 100% have, and it has not gone right. So that self-paced training course, these are your instructions. This is like that Edulastic owner manual that's going to help set you up for success. Now, listen, you can't learn everything about Edulastic in a premium webinar. We understand that. But these self-paced training courses here are available for you to give you that confidence you need to get the most out of this application. Simply go to the Teacher Training Starter course, Advanced User Starter course, and you're well on your way. I also like to use the example of when I bought my first vehicle. It was a Jeep Wrangler. It didn't come with doors, didn't come with a roof, didn't come with anything. But it came with an owner's manual. And I read that thing. You'd be surprised at what I learned about a Jeep. Couldn't believe what I know how to do. And lastly, if you find yourself in need of you have an urgent need with Edulastic. So for some reason, something's missing, something's gone wrong. We understand that in the tech world, these things might happen. We're available for you. At the bottom of this screen, you're going to find our support line, our tech support line, which is right here. And also the times that we are available, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 510-901-4739. Now, obviously, we want you to use this for an urgent request, but you can also email us. And if someone, Aditya, Liana, or Lauren, if you would put in the chat, support@edulastic.com. We're happy to help. We understand that things, it's tricky, it's technology. But if you have any questions, please let us know. Again, can't speak enough about how amazing these self-paced training courses are. And also, as a quick hint, if you're looking for some PD credit, you might find it here, because we will provide for you a diploma that you can take a screenshot of and submit that for your professional development. So that's all from me. I'm going to turn it over to you, Lauren. And again, thank you so much. And actually, one last thing. I love to make sure I give credit where credit is due. And I want to thank all of you, one, for choosing Edulastic, but two, for choosing the career path that you chose. Because what you're doing is you're shaping, you're molding, you're supporting the young minds of our future generation. So kudos to you. I know last year was tough. I can't even imagine, but we're really optimistic about this year and looking forward to it. So again, thank you for all that you do. If I don't get an opportunity to say it, I'm looking forward. I wanted to make sure I took the opportunity to do it. Thank you for what you do. Really appreciate it.